Hey people, this is my weekly rundown of things from the world of entertainment news. I want to start off this video by doing a little mini review of a movie called Killer Elite. Now you might not have heard of this movie. I didn't hear this movie until like last night when my friend had the DVD and was like, yeah, let's watch this movie, it looks cool. So, if you haven't heard of it, I'm not surprised. But the movie stars Jason Statham, Clive Owen, Robert De Niro, and Dominic Purcell's awkward mustache. And it's really not a good movie at all. I don't recommend it. It's not a horrible movie, like there's nothing that bad about it. It's just really, there's nothing very good about it. The only thing I think it has going for it is the good actors who are able to do a decent job portraying these uninteresting characters. But the characters aren't that great, so the performances aren't really that enjoyable. So you've got uninteresting characters, an uninteresting plot, and action that's really not that great either. Like, the story is just pretty boring, it drags on, and it's an hour 57 minutes. My friend lied to me. He was like, it's an hour and a half because he didn't know the runtime of it. He was just trying to convince me to watch this movie. So yeah, it was almost 2 hours, and the plot's just not really going anywhere interesting. They try to do a plot twist in it, but by the time they get to that, I really didn't care what was going on that much. And I understood it, but it wasn't like, holy crap, I'm shocked by this. It's like, oh, okay. Not really surprised by this, but I guess it's nice that you did try to do something with the plot instead of just keep going in the completely boring direction that you were going in. So, yeah, I would not recommend watching this movie at all. I mean, if you like action movies, there are more fun action movies out there. If you like serious movies, there are better serious movies out there. This is just kind of awkwardly in the middle. It's not like a really cool, fun action movie, and it's not trying to be like a very dark, serious movie. It's trying to straddle the line there, and it doesn't do well in either, so really, don't see this. Apparently they might be doing an animated Terminator film. There are plans about it. It's just kind of in early stages of production right now, and I think that they tried to do that a while back and it just got canceled. But right now there's not much known about the story. They're saying that they kind of intend it as a bit of a reboot. They don't want to follow up from where Salvation left off, and honestly, I don't think that's the way to go about it, rebooting the franchise, but I'll get into that a little bit later. Just to start off though, animation I just don't feel it is right for the Terminator franchise. A franchise that's been live action since 1984 just feels like it'd be awkward to all of a sudden go the animation route. And while I like animation, I'm a big fan of it, and you can watch trailers for like Star Wars The Old Republic and DC Universe Online to see how animation can be used to do some really cool, serious action stuff. Just in general, I feel like audiences think of animation as for kids. So there's I think it was a serious movie that came out, animated movie, Battle for Terra, a few years ago, and it just wasn't successful because I feel like adult audiences aren't really looking at animation as something that they can watch as a serious blockbuster. And you got The Adventures of Tintin, which was still kind of a kids movie. I still haven't seen it yet, but it's put out by Nickelodeon, I think, and it's still targeting kids, even though it is a bit more mature than a lot of the animation that is released. So I'm hoping that this movie doesn't happen in that respect, but I'm just a little bit frustrated in the direction the Terminator franchise is in the overall position of not knowing where to go from here, because I just feel like with Salvation they kind of screwed up. They didn't make a movie that was as good as it should have been, and it wasn't as successful as a Terminator movie should have been. So right after that, they didn't make enough money to immediately be like, oh, we're going to continue the story with the sequel. So now Christian Bale's probably not going to return, and a lot of the other actors, so it's just going to be another kind of weird shift like it was after Terminator 3, where that was kind of a disappointing movie. And we're probably going to have to wait a few years to see this story continued, and there's going to be another director, most likely, another team of writers, and it just doesn't have that consistency that a series should have going from one to the next. Like Terminator 1 and 2 go very well together. Terminator 3 James Cameron wasn't directing anymore, so it didn't really feel as good as a part of that series, and you can tell that there was something lacking there. But for the new trilogy, I feel like those all could have gone together quite well, even without James Cameron. They could have had another direction for this series and told a very strong story if they managed to know what they were doing and have that clear idea of what we were going to do going on. But we'll see. I really do want to do a video giving my ideas about the Terminator franchise, and I'm in the process of writing it right now. It just takes a while, so hopefully I'll be getting that out in the next few months. Last week I talked a little bit about the new DC Comics logo, and I really didn't like it because it was kind of a boring design, black and white, and it just felt really improper for a comic book publisher, something that's about like really fun, interesting ideas, to have such a very plain logo with no color. And now they've released some more pictures of the logo, and it looks very different from what it was before, because it's not just the plain black and white. They've revealed that it's going to be a changing logo, that depending on the franchise that it represents, the logo changes with that franchise. Like, they showed a Green Lantern picture with the logo where the C of the logo, I believe, was like glowing the green, so there is color that goes along with it, and there are some pretty cool looking design things that they do depending on whatever the logo is representing. So I'm changing my mind, retracting my statement. The new logo looks pretty cool. Not sure if I like it more than the old logo, but it is an interesting idea and a lot better than just the black and white that it looked like it was going to be earlier. The trailer for Resident Evil 6 came out this past week, and it looks pretty cool. Like, I'm not like a huge Resident Evil fan. I played the fourth one, and I've played through the fourth one. I've played a little bit of the fifth one with my friend, just the Mercenaries mode of that, just fighting random zombies, and not through the story or anything like that. But I do think it's a cool franchise, and 6 just looks to be like a very big release. 5, I think, disappointed a lot of people, but 6, I think, looks very exciting, and it's got two of the franchise's major protagonists. It's got Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy in there. It doesn't look like it's co-op. It looks like it still keeps the isolation of like Resident Evil 4, but you've got Chris and Leon in different places, and there's a third character introduced who I'm not familiar with. I'm not really up on my Resident Evil knowledge like that, but I do think he might be a new character who's playable. And people are theorizing that since they do have both Chris and Leon, Chris might be serving as the more action-oriented character, whereas Leon might be the survival horror, because I think fans of the franchise are a little bit torn, because Resident Evil 4 is a really cool game, but since then it's kind of moved away from the survival horror aspect than it was originally. Resident Evil 4 made it more of an action franchise than it was back in the earlier games, where it's more slow-paced, small rooms with zombies moving at you slowly, and you don't really have very much ammo. So I think it would be cool if they managed to balance both of that. But it does look to me personally that it is continuing the very action side that you saw in Resident Evil 4, and Resident Evil 5 was even more action-focused than 4, I think, because you've got two co-op characters. It looks like most of that took place during the day, so it wasn't really as creepy. So Resident Evil 6, I think, is going to be a pretty big release. Check that out. The trailer looks cool, and it's just a really big year for Resident Evil as a whole. Like, next month, Resident Evil Revelations is coming out for the 3DS, so I'm excited for that. I've got a 3DS, and the only major game I have for it right now is Ocarina of Time 3D, so I'm excited to get another game for that. And I think after that, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City is coming out, and that's kind of a spin-off title. It's going to be on like Xbox 360 and PS3, but it's not part of the main series. I think it is kind of tied in during the time of like Resident Evil 2 and 3, and that's even more action-focused than some of the other games. I guess it's trying to appeal more to that like Gears of War, Uncharted kind of crowd. So that looks like an interesting game, and I'm kind of surprised that they did release the trailer for Resident Evil 6 so soon, because with the release of Operation Raccoon City coming out, I feel like they might have stolen some of their own thunder with that. Like last year, Resident Evil: The Mercenaries came out for 3DS, and it's basically kind of this mini game that's been in the past few games where you just kill a bunch of zombies in this time limit. So I knew that that was coming out, but I knew that Revelations was coming out this year, and that's a more complete game to me. So I was just like, I'm not going to buy the Mercenaries when I know this better thing is coming out. And I feel like they might have done that with Operation Raccoon City. I think that fans of the series who enjoy like Resident Evil 5 and stuff are going to be like, I might pass on Raccoon City because just in a few months I'm going to get Resident Evil 6. But also they've got the new movie coming out for the series, so they've got 3 games and a movie coming out in the same year. So if you are a Resident Evil fan, this is an exciting time for you. I enjoy the franchise. So people are kind of wondering if Resident Evil 6 will make an appearance on the Wii U, and I think it's very likely that it will. I think a lot of current generation stuff is going to be ported to the Wii U, and Resident Evil 6, it just makes sense to put it on there. And I'm really hoping that it is on there and it uses the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, because that's how I first played Resident Evil 4, and I feel like that control setup works very well for the Resident Evil style gameplay. Like, I played Resident Evil 5 on the PS3 after playing 4, and I just didn't enjoy the controls as much as I liked the Wii controls for Resident Evil. Like, the Wii controls aren't perfect for everything. I think that some franchises it just doesn't work for it. Like, I wouldn't want to play Arkham Asylum or Arkham City with a Wii Remote. But Resident Evil is one of those franchises where I think it really does benefit from using those pointer controls. So, keeping my fingers crossed that they have that control method in there as an option if they do put it on the Wii U. There are rumors that Josh Trank, the director of the upcoming film Chronicle, will be directing a reboot of the Fantastic Four franchise. Now, I don't really know that much about Josh Trank, but it seems that Chronicle is going to be pretty grounded, trying to be a more realistic take on the whole superhero and superpowers genre. So maybe that's the direction that they want to take this Fantastic Four reboot. And I'm not sure if that's the best direction. Like, this is all speculation. I don't know that that's what they want to do. But the Fantastic Four, to me, they're a family, and they go on these crazy adventures to outer space, other dimensions and stuff. So to make a more spectacular, fantastical Fantastic Four movie probably seems like it's the best way to go with that, because a lot of superheroes fight a villain and are set in like a city or something like that. But to have characters go on this adventure to like these crazy locations, like, I feel like with Avatar, you've proven that audiences like to just see very interesting visual stuff. So to make a Fantastic Four movie into more of a visual spectacle in terms of where they go, in an adventure, you've got a villain like a standard superhero movie, but to have that adventure aspect to it might make it more of a value because it's more different than a lot of what else is out there. The only problem I have with the Fantastic Four getting rebooted is that it still belongs to 20th Century Fox, and I'm not really a 20th Century Fox hater. They've proven with the first 2 X-Men movies and X-Men First Class that they can make good movies. My annoyance is that with them belonging to 20th Century Fox, they can't cross over with the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Avengers and all that. So ideally I'd love to see all of Marvel's characters go to the Marvel Cinematic Universe to create this one big, great universe. But if they are staying with 20th Century Fox, I feel like 20th Century Fox should take this opportunity to learn from the Marvel Studios example and cross over the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. Like, right now, the X-Men are set in the past. Like, the X-Men First Class franchise seems to be going forward, and they're going to be making stuff that leads up to modern day. But I feel like you could potentially introduce like a character like Sue Storm's father in an X-Men First Class sequel, just to create a connection there and make a sense of a larger universe, and maybe in a Fantastic Four movie refer back to what happened in the X-Men movies and have that as a history of what went on there. and maybe have the whole mutant thing be part of the Fantastic Four storyline, that how the public views the Fantastic Four in contrast to the mutants. You could do a lot there, so hoping Fantastic Four doesn't keep not Fantastic Four, 20th Century Fox doesn't keep wasting the potential they have by having these two franchises, and maybe does something out of it. Same with Sony. I believe Sony still owns Daredevil as well as Spider-Man, who I know they own. So I feel like they could definitely cross over Spider-Man and Daredevil, even directly, not just through side characters and mentions of the other one. I feel like a crossover between Spider-Man and Daredevil, maybe taking on the Kingpin or something, could be an awesome movie. So that's really all I've got to say about the side Marvel movies. Thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time.